The stories shared on the Busy Baddies are submitted by real listeners and are intended for entertainment and discussion purposes only. To protect the privacy of everyone involved, all names, companies, and identifying details have been changed or omitted. Any resemblance to real people or events are purely coincidental. We believe in keeping it real while keeping it respectful. Thank you for sharing your experiences and for trusting us to spill the tea with care.
When the lights go low and the real work begins, this is the Busy Baddies.
Where assistants come uncensored, the stories get spicy, and the corporate filter, Control Alt Delete.
I'm Michelle, EA to the CEO of a Fortune 150 company,
And I'm Mel, former C Suite EA turned admin rebel.
and we're here to talk about the real stuff, the stories that never make it to the all hands meeting.
Okay, so let's get into why connections are so important in the role that we do.
I mean, connections are everything in getting our work done as a team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it builds on the there's no I in team
Mm-hmm.
um, kind of whole thought process because internal and external, your relationship building matters. It can be the difference
Yeah.
of a great event versus
Mm-hmm.
a not so great event.
Yeah, definitely a make or break because I think when you have more contacts and a really strong network, it's just a bigger pool of people to pull from and to leverage to get the needle moved. And the better connections you have, the more likely you are to get done what you need to because people will, respond quicker. They know who you are. Oh, I know so and so and this person. So I just think the better that you get your name out there, the better off that you are. So,
Y-
um,
Yeah, we had it was about a month ago at work. We had our intern event, which our CEO does. This year was different because I actually had an admin of another company reach out with this idea of our two companies both doing an intern event together.
wow.
And it was one of those things where you're like, damn, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah. She's a baddie.
Yeah. But nonetheless, it was fantastic. And
Yeah.
so this idea kind of immediately then went into let's get it
Mhm.
planned and let's make it work. So go through all the planning meetings and all of that. So it's the day of the event, and they were each going to introduce themselves,
Mhm.
share their career background and all of those the things, and then they were giving advice, like
Mhm.
the top 5 advice I would tell interns, right?
Yeah.
And so this other CEO said something that just was so simple
Mhm.
but meant so much, and especially, as an admin,
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, that's so true." So he said, "Your network is your net worth."
So true.
And I was just
Yes.
so simple, so duh.
Yeah, you're like, "That's so profound."
Yeah, like, yeah, and so as an admin to where, like, we don't really have, like, deliverables
Mm-mm.
or, we're supporting somebody else, but our connections is so powerful.
Mhm.
And then, to kinda just have it in that little phrase of your network is your net worth, it was just yeah,
Yeah, that's simple but profound.
yeah,
And it reinforces the idea that I always have with people anytime that I have had a conversation with them, whether they be struggling or, they want mentorship. I always try to tell people, your leaders are going to come and go, and you can't tie your identity as an EA to that person. You
mhm,
have to be intentional of building your own brand,
yeah,
and you can't build a brand without kind of a following, so to speak.
right,
So your network is your following, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I think it's super important because it's easy for us to lose who we are by who we represent.
Yeah.
And it's always sad to me when you see an EA that's in the background, the leader leaves, nobody knows who they are. Nobody maybe recognizes them without that leader being in the room,
Right.
which really closes a lot of doors.
Yeah. And it's not only that, it's awful to think that
Hmm.
we're essentially invisible
Yeah.
without the leader we support.
Yeah. Because it insinuates you're only as good as your leader, which is
Mhm.
not true.
No, not we don't automatically lose our work ethic and all
No,
of the things that we're good at
no,
because a leader left.
no, no. And I think we'll get into this in another episode. But again, that's where it's very important that the person that you tie yourself to as an EA aligns with who you are as a person as
Mhm.
well,
Yeah.
because your reputation is also going to be very dependent on the person that you support
Oh yeah.
in the organization. Is it a person who has a bad reputation? Are they awful to their EA? Do they mistreat their employees?
Right.
Do they diminish the role as an EA? Because then, come time to backfill that EA role, should you leave or them try to hire somebody else, that's going to be a roadblock because,
Mhm.
and you as that person who supported them, it could even look bad on you.
For sure.
So I think, connections are definitely everything. And it's only natural in the seat that we're in that we make tons of connections because of the people that we support. They're powerful people. Um, I think I early on was very intentional when I supported people. If I met that person, interacted with them at least 2 times or more,
Mhm.
I would always be very intentional of sending a LinkedIn request to them and saying, "Hey, was great to work with you on X. Would love to stay connected and see what you're doing in the future and how I can support, push that forward."
Yeah.
So that is also another really good way. But I think LinkedIn is definitely super important.
Yeah, especially externally,
Hmm.
right? So, kind of the flip side of that is building your connection internally.
Hmm.
And I think some of that will just come over time
Yep.
in your roles. It'll just be a natural network of building. You have this team you worked with and then you
Hmm.
move to another. But don't let that kind of just be your circle.
100%.
Branch out,
Hmm.
start doing things that is doesn't have anything to do with being an admin.
No.
I'm sure there's a lot of companies out there that have different organizations.
Hmm.
We do a lot of United Way stuff where we
Hmm.
work, so get involved in that. We have corporate responsibility.
Hmm.
There's all kinds of these things that will just introduce you
Hmm.
to a whole new subset of connections.
You're 100% right.
Yeah.
And when you have a good, solid network, God forbid you're ever in the market for a job, you have endless amounts of people that you can pull from to get in touch with and say, "Hey, I maybe was part of a downsize or a layoff or, whatever the case may be." And that could be somebody clicks and goes, "Man, I remember interacting with this person and they were stellar at what they did. I
Right.
would love
Yeah.
to stick my neck out for them."
Yeah.
But they don't know what they don't know if you don't ever connect and kind of be the
Yeah.
squeaky wheel. Um,
Yeah, and it's no different with just being the person that you're kind of known for of knowing a lot of stuff.
mhm,
You're with a company for 10 plus years and you have somebody that's newer to the company. I mean, I tend to be that person that they're like, I don't know, ask Michelle.
right, yeah, you're like the catch-all.
Right, and that's
Yeah,
fine. I have no problem being that. It's just I also don't know everything.
right.
And so sometimes I'm just not going to have the answer, but I don't mind being that first name that kind of gets spit out there of, hey, I don't know, ask Michelle.
100%. And being too helpful can also kind of cause that.
Yeah.
Because I always used to joke with a couple of the girls that I'm really close with on on my former team. And I would always tease her, and I'm like, "Is my name and phone number and, like, email written on a bathroom wall somewhere?
Right.
Like, instead of for a good time, like,
Yeah.
call this person if you
Yeah.
need help."
Yeah. Got
She's
a
willing to do
question? Melissa
anything.
can answer.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh my gosh." Like, but
It's so true, though.
it is, and it's important, though, that you are held in that regard because that means that you're helping people.
For sure. And that's kind of where I was just going to go is it's
Yeah.
also a great thing
Mhm.
and what a compliment that to so many people you seem to be the go-to person.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, kinda getting into the next point that we wanted to reach, it was, I think you have to be intentional
Yeah.
because in our role, we get so lost and hyper fixated on the person that we support that we kind of tend to forget that we are our own person
Mhm.
and what is the next step after this person leaves, retires? What about me? What should I be doing to, be my own best advocate? And I
Yeah.
think that's where you have to be intentional.
Yeah, and for the first time that I can remember in my career, I recently got invited to a women's luncheon.
Wow.
And the first thing that came to my head was this for my boss?
Yeah.
And I sent, responded and said, "Thanks, this sounds really amazing. Are you sure this was for me?"
I'm not used to this.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when they said, "No, it's for you," and I was kind of a little humble, like, "Oh, that's
Yeah.
really cool." And then I'm like, "I better ask my boss if I can go."
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You
I'm
know,
not used to this, like me having my own schedule and things to do.
right. And so, it brought me to this topic
Mhm.
of, gosh, was that a connection that,
Yep.
I made with somebody, or were they at our conference
Mhm.
and, that's
Yeah.
how my name got brought up? I mean, who knows what would have happened or if I would have even got that
Yes.
invite.
Yes, and I think when you support powerful people, you become powerful yourself.
Yeah.
And don't forget that.
Yeah.
Like, if you are supporting someone who is out there and is visible, people see you as well.
Mhm.
They may not say it all the time, but I have had that come full circle several times with my leaders. I've had people come back to me and say, I've never worked with someone more pleasant. Our interactions were so great. I was so impressed with the work that you did. So people pay attention to what you do, but I think that's where intention is just very, very, very important.
Yeah.
And I think too, it's kind of like my parents always told me with friends, and I think I understand this more as I've got older. It's kind of like with the LinkedIn thing, you know, friends, it's about quality, not quantity.
Mhm. Absolutely.
So it's the same thing with LinkedIn. I don't care if somebody has 7,000 followers.
Mhm.
What's the substance of that? Like, are
Yeah.
people interacting with you on there? Are they sharing your
Right.
stories? And are they just good quality, connections?
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
some people use LinkedIn as a personal platform.
Yeah.
And I personally don't think politics, religion, some of those things have a place in the workplace,
Mhm.
personally. So to me, I try to steer away from people who maybe post that stuff on LinkedIn
Yeah.
because that can be controversial.
Mhm.
But that's just me. But definitely quality over quantity.
Yeah, and I think that's something that you also learn as you get older.
100%.
When you really start figuring out what is
Mhm.
a true friend, and obviously that's different from a outside of work friend, an acquaintance that you have at work, and it could be both.
Yeah.
You could be a wonderful friend inside and outside of work.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, I definitely agree with that.
So too.
So for those of you that follow us on LinkedIn, I hope that you noticed that last month we held our first ever global admin conference at our place of employment. And we had one last year. It was much smaller. It
Mhm,
was with kind of just those in our Indiana
mhm.
area, and mainly because we wanted to really, before we opened it up
Sure.
globally, really hone in
Like, test the
on,
water.
yeah,
Mhm.
what topics are they going
Yep,
to want, what's going
yep.
to be the most helpful, and really get something out of it. And we sent out a post survey, and the overwhelming response
Mhm.
for networking
Yeah.
and building connections
Mhm,
was really kind of like the biggest, platform
mhm.
or, thing that I knew we had to fit in
Sure.
somewhere,
Mhm.
somehow, and make that a huge piece
Yep.
of the conference, because as a admin, other than your team and maybe some one-offs that you have to work to get your
Mhm.
job done, we're really not connecting and networking as a
No,
whole.
you get kinda siloed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when we had this year's first global, we really, obviously opened it up globally. We were really mindful to have those networking breaks. We had
Mhm.
extended lunches.
Yeah.
And again, that's just even in feedback this year, again, was
Loved. Mhm.
the networking connections, meeting people.
Yep.
So many of them found other people that do the same work that they
Yeah.
do, or worked, they had a team connection that they didn't
Yep.
know, and just to be able to witness that in
Mhm.
real time
Yeah.
was so cool.
Yeah, and I think as humans, we crave human interaction, and that
Mhm.
is connection. And you can connect with so many people on so many levels, even if and I just think it's so important that you have the human connection piece because, it's like we talked on last week about confidence and, thinking through, when you're confident enough to walk into a room and know what you offer, then being humble enough also to give that to somebody else as a gift.
Mhm.
You don't know what you're doing for that person.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the very first EA job I ever had. It was shortly after high school, and, Carrie, if you're listening, I still love this woman from the deepest parts of my heart. Um, she became a lifelong friend because I remember her telling me, like, you ask questions, you're intentional about what you wanna learn. I think you would make a great EA, and she had been an EA for years.
Mhm.
And she's like, "If you want," she's like, "I will show you and tell you everything that I know." And I always remember that stuck with me because I
Yeah.
thought, how awesome that she wants to help someone she's A, never met, has
Yeah.
no invested interest in my success, but it almost like it planted like an oak tree in me of like, I have to do that for other people
Well, yeah,
now.
and now for you with that person having your back, the sky's the limit.
100%. And it
There's
became my obligation.
yeah.
I had to help people.
Yeah.
But I will never forget that, and I think that's a call out that I would give to people is, the gift of time and the gift of talent is going to touch someone far more than, an email of, "Hey, you did a great job when you gave that speech or on that PowerPoint
Yeah.
presentation," or, like, just give of yourself.
Mhm.
There's the payback is far greater.
Yeah. I just this past week had a meeting with another admin that nobody has ever done before, and I got a really sweet email, and it was essentially them asking for feedback.
Mhm.
And yeah, we have our, little email things that we have at work,
Sure.
stakeholder feedback, and
Mhm.
you fill out this form that
Yeah.
it's the one form for everybody, and you
Mhm.
have your little,
Yeah. Check
buttons,
boxes.
check boxes,
Yeah.
but not real
Right,
feedback.
right.
And I made it a point to do it in person, so
Mhm.
I asked hey, when are you in the office? When can our calendars line up? Because I felt obligated
Yeah.
that if she probably nervously
Sure.
maybe
Yeah.
wanted to reach out and thinking, well, she could just say no, right?
Right.
So the courage that she had to just
Mhm.
even ask me for feedback,
It's huge.
I felt obligated to do it in person and just turn it then into more than that,
Yep.
right? Yeah, I'll give the feedback that she asked for, but then to build a
Mhm.
relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
And and I had that last week and it went lovely. And
Yeah.
you know who you are if you're listening,
Mhm.
and keep up the great work. You're doing wonderful.
Yeah.
But bravo to you
Yeah.
for just opening that door.
That's a leadership skill.
Yeah.
What she did was she stepped up as a leader. She had the initiative to say, "You know what? I can learn from Michelle. I wanna do better, and I think she's the one that can help me." So,
Hmm.
you know, kudos to you, whoever you are. I don't know who you are. Michelle and I have never talked about this. This is the first time I'm hearing this, but I think it's phenomenal because not only if you are doing that with Michelle, you are doing that with other people, which means that you have leadership skills.
Yeah.
Keep fostering that. Keep doing that
Yep.
kind of stuff. You will make great connections. It will get noticed by people that are much bigger than our titles for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so great. Okay, so I think the big question is, once you have the network, how do you then leverage that to help accelerate you um, without coming across as either slimy or disingenuine
Yeah.
or gross, because I've seen people do that on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah. And there's going to be people that you aren't going to get away from doing that.
100%.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's just shady people at work.
Right.
No matter
100.
where you work,
Yeah.
there's just those people. But I think, being genuine, being
Mhm.
authentic, wanting to build it because you are going to get something
Mhm.
out of it,
Yeah.
and vice versa for the
Yeah.
other person. I
Yeah.
mean, I think there has to be a mutual agreement, not even agreement, but you both have to be getting something out of the network, the connection,
Uh-huh.
and it doesn't need to be a weekly
Mm-mm.
thing.
No.
I mean, there's people that I still talk to that I don't work with anymore at past companies and
Yeah.
have gone on and done their own thing. And you never know in life what could come and be like, you want to know what? I know so and so, and I'm
Yep.
going to reach out. And if you fostered that relationship correctly, it can be 2 years that it's
Absolutely.
been since you've talked,
Yeah.
but they're gonna do whatever is needed.
Absolutely. And I think us making connections with the people even outside of our organizations, I've had this happen several times where I have got close to people either a leader has sat on a board with, so the secretary to the CEO of the company that, kind of manages the board stuff, or, an EA to someone who is a customer.
Mhm.
And I could call in that favor and say, hey, like, is there any way that we can figure out how to make this work? And when you have that good fostered connection, people are going to be more likely to be helpful because they're always going to remember something that you did for them. So like the reciprocation piece is
Yeah.
very big.
And just going back to, the intern event,
Mhm.
if that other CEO
Yep.
didn't see my relationship as authentic and
Mhm.
valuable,
Yep.
she could have reached out to a completely different company and
Absolutely.
done that intern event.
Yep.
And, we would have lost out on that.
100%. Like, and what a thing to offer. Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy. And which kind of is, I think, where it's important of to clarity. Like, be clear on what it is that you're wanting to get off of LinkedIn and from your connection.
Yeah.
I think a good way to approach that is, and I did this, I think it was last week, maybe the week before with the podcast, was there was a list that circulated of podcasts that every EA should listen to. And I have zero shame. As you know, I'm known on this show as the rebel and the one who says whatever the hell she wants.
That's right. And
And
we love you
so,
for
right,
that.
yeah. That's if anybody who knows me, that's me. But I remember seeing that list and I was like, why not us?
Mhm.
So I reached out to this girl, wasn't connected with her at all in any way, shape, or form. It just happened to pop across my feed because some of my connections were mentioned on there.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, let me send her a introduction message and say, I love what you did. I saw that you had this really robust list. Love the movement that's going on right now with the EA role.
Yeah.
And, my coworker and friend and I just started a podcast. Would love if you would give it a listen and give us feedback. You never know.
Yeah.
And she was, of course, oh, absolutely would love. I never knew I would make this many connections off of just posting a list of what I thought was helpful.
Right.
And I was like, but you don't know if you don't ask.
Exactly.
And all I was asking, just listen to one episode.
Yeah, you weren't asking to, hey, put us on the list.
No,
It was genuine. Just give us a listen and let us know. And
100%.
even for people out there, we're new.
Yeah.
We're building this, and we want the feedback.
Yeah, that's how you get better, So
Absolutely.
I think for me it was, but that's how you get on the list
Right.
is you speak up and say, I know that we're doing something great and that we're going to help, even if it's one person.
Absolutely.
All of this time invested, money and equipment has been worth it for me. And I know for you too. If we help just one person in one of these episodes identify with something,
Yeah.
and I've had it happen multiple times. People have come up to me and said, wow, I really identified with this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like that feels so great.
Yeah. I mean, and here it started from a little idea, something that we're
Kind
like,
of a
boy,
joke.
yeah, we both need a hobby, and we both like to talk,
Yeah.
so why not?
Yeah.
And I love, even in just our own company,
Agreed.
it's been really enlightening.
Yes, because I think there is power in sharing what you know, and I think that's also a powerful way to build your network is if you have something, and we'll get into this in next week's episode where we talk about your niche. If you have a niche, like share that with people. It's
Yes.
don't gatekeep, and I think we even talked about that. It feels like a million episodes ago because,
Yeah.
here we are on what is this episode 7 or 8, but
Yeah.
it's, I just think it's so important that if you only get better by other people investing and pouring into you too. So
Absolutely.
share the secret sauce.
That's right. All right, baddies, it's
It's
tea time.
This week is juicy too
Yeah,
because I feel like this can go a million different
for
ways.
sure.
Yeah.
So I want to share that a connection or networking opportunity is actually how I got my husband.
Yeah.
So this,
Ooh.
yeah, ooh, love connection. So I was supporting my boss in a different role. She was over an engineering team, and this was at a time where we kind of wanted to go and do different staff meetings at buildings that she was over. So we have a pilot center and never been out there, and so I had to kind of ask around of
Mhm.
like, who do I need to contact
Yeah.
to have a meeting out in this
Yeah.
building. And so I got the name and reached out to this gentleman
Yeah.
and said, hey, we want to come out there for staff. Do you have a room? All that stuff, right?
Can you send me a picture?
How tall are you?
Right. Do you like long walks in the woods?
Yeah. What kind of car do you drive?
How big is your house?
So sent that out and kind of just started on the path to having a staff meeting out
Mhm.
there. And we just had staff meeting, first time seeing, and you could just tell, it
Mhm.
was a very natural, instant,
Yeah.
like, what the
Ooh,
hell
there's
is
something
this?
there. Yeah.
Yeah. And so had the staff meeting, everything went fine.
Yeah.
And for some reason, we just never stopped communicating. We had at the time, I think it was like Same Time, I
Yeah.
think was the
Yeah.
instant chat or whatever that we had at work. And so just kind of continued and left that relationship
Yeah.
open. And, here we are about to celebrate 9 years
That's
of
crazy.
marriage. Yeah. And so for those of you that don't know, my boss also likes to take the credit for my
Finding
husband
you
and
your
I. Yes,
husband, yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Which totally fine. She
Right.
she can have it. And technically she did.
Yeah, this is a great story of where connections can go horribly awesome, right?
Yes.
Or, magically awesome.
Yeah.
Not, mine is horribly wrong,
Oh,
where, like we mentioned before, not to be slimy or, when you have a good network of people, and sometimes when you work at a company like ours that is a Fortune 150, it's a high sought after place to get into,
yeah.
and people will, you know, you automatically come into mind because you're like, oh wow, like they have great pay, they have great benefits, they have this, and oh yeah, I
Yeah.
got that one friend who has been trying to get in there for years, and Melissa, you're the shoe in,
Yeah.
and now I have this lady who. I mean, I at this point I feel like I could probably call her a stalker because it's probably like
Oh
every two
no.
weeks hey, I applied for this job. Can you, reach out to the recruiter and put in my name for me? Now, mind you, I don't know this woman from Adam.
Oh.
Never met her.
Yeah.
We are not connections. Um, so she sees that I read them and that I don't respond. But
Right.
it's like one of those things where it's like my persona and I have so much pride in the reputation that I have built for myself
Mhm.
that I have always been very cautious. I do not recommend people for jobs unless I 100% know who you are. I've seen you in action
Right.
and I can vouch that you are as good or better than I am. And I'm
Mhm.
not saying that in a haughty or high minded way because anybody that knows me knows that I don't have an ego. But I think that it's very important that you don't let people leverage you as a network
Yeah.
connection
In
to
the
get
wrong
what
way.
they
Yeah.
want in the wrong way.
Yeah.
So that's a way where it just went horribly wrong for
Yeah.
me.
And that I would like to say I hope is a standard practice.
You would think.
Because you take on so much responsibility
Yep.
for that person, and then say you did vouch
Mhm.
and then they come into work and it's awful, and then
Yes.
they're looking to you like, Melissa,
Why
who
did
the
you
hell is
recommend
this
this
for?
person?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of stinks, and I'm sure a lot of people out there have stories like that, hopefully not stalker-ish,
Right.
but
Right. Every 2 weeks I'm like, "Can we block this lady from the job board?" Like, HR, help.
all right, baddies. So before we get into our closing, I think it only makes sense that Melissa and I help nurture the networking and connection building. And so we're actually going to introduce quarterly baddie brunches.
Yay.
Yay! So be on the lookout on our LinkedIn, our
Mhm.
Instagram,
Yep.
as details kind of start to unfold. But we hope that we can get out there, meet you all,
Mhm.
thank you all,
Mhm.
and start building our own networks.
Yeah, because I think, and I encourage others to do the same thing. I know on LinkedIn we have an indie admins network group, and that's another good thing that I would, mention to people is, get out on LinkedIn and poke around on what may be going on
Yeah, your
in,
city, your
yeah,
state.
yes. There's a lot of EA groups, and like I said before, I feel like we're in the midst of a movement right now in the
Hmm.
EA role because I think we are finally speaking up. We're finding our voice. We're finding that there's power in numbers.
Absolutely.
And if you search EA events on LinkedIn, you are going to find a plethora
Yeah.
of wonderful wealth resources that you can leverage locally. I know one personally, anybody that's in the Tampa area. There is a wonderful lady out there. If you would like her information, you're in the market for a job, I would 100%. mention that,
Yeah.
for sure. And I would love to have her on another episode where she can kind of tell you what she does. But she is a unicorn in matching executives with EAs and has yet to have one that does not turn into a multi-year role.
Oh,
It's
awesome.
not She's so successful and so good at what she does, but she was also an EA. So she knows the importance of the relationship dynamic that needs to be there, and
Yeah.
she's good at fishing that out for people. So
Very cool.
but do this locally. If you want to do a lunch or even if it's a happy hour, meet at a bar. Everybody cover their own tab.
Yeah.
That way, if somebody doesn't drink, they could get a soda, they could get seltzer
Exactly.
water. It's just about the human connection, to
Mhm.
talk, to find commonality, and to just build your own network. It's so, so, so important.
Yeah, I mean, there may be some of you online that are familiar with Jeremy Burroughs.
Hmm.
He came in and did a mixer type
Yep.
at our facility, and we opened that up to
Yep.
all of Indianapolis. And there are numerous admins that I got connected through
Yes.
there
Hmm.
and still talk with. So shout out to Jeremy. Check him out.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many people that would love to, get to meet you. And because again, we feel like we're on an island alone when there
Mhm.
is really hundreds of
Yeah.
thousands of us in the same city. So I think that's a great, way to kind of end things. But, in closing, I think just remember that, connections are not just contacts. They are career currency for us.
Yes.
It can make or break your career, like we said.
Absolutely, and the size of your network doesn't matter. The strength of it does.
Hmm.
I mean, trust me, EAs, we're the strongest Rolodex in
That's
the game.
right. Yeah.
Rolodex, if you wanna
Right.
sponsor us.
Yeah. Or Rolex watches. We'll take that sponsorship too. But so some practical steps that you can take. Be intentional about nurturing the relationships consistently.
Yeah.
Don't only reach out to someone when you want something from them.
I think that's a great point.
Yes.
There's there and I know there's just sometimes that happens naturally,
Yeah.
but there are a few people that I swear the only time I see their name pop up is because it's
Hey.
something they want or they need.
Yes. Yes. Yep, for sure. And I think offer to be helpful if you see someone posting about something, and maybe that is your niche or something that you're really good at, or
Mhm.
you attended an event that they did and you saw where something could have been done or it could have been done easier,
Yeah.
offer that
Yeah,
feedback.
speak up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Feedback is a gift.
100%.
And just in case you need the reminder, adding your dentist's cousin's roommate on LinkedIn does not count as networking,
No,
okay?
no, your cousin's dentist, whatever it is not going to help you in an EA role.
No,
Like I said, it's about quality, not quantity.
that's
So
it for us today, everybody.
that's right. You guys have a great week, and we look forward to hearing from you guys. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye. That's it for us today, bringing order to corporate chaos.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that follow button.
Yours truly, Melissa,
And Michelle,
the
the
Busy
Busy
Baddies.
Baddies.